Not from outside the house. Not from the woods. Not from some distant road. From inside the walls. Daniel froze in the middle of the hallway, the flashlight shaking in his hand as the sound dragged itself through the rotten wooden panels beside him. "Help me!" A woman's voice. Weak, crying. Alive. The old farmhouse had been empty for almost 30 years. At least, that's what everyone in Black Hollow claimed. Rain hammered against the broken windows while thunder rolled across the hills outside. Daniel swallowed hard and pressed the flashlight against the wall. The voice came again, closer this time. "Please, he's coming back." Then something inside the wall scratched slowly upward. Daniel stepped back, and the scratching stopped instantly. Silence filled the hallway. The kind of silence that feels like someone is standing right behind you, breathing softly against your neck. Daniel turned around quickly. Nobody there. Only darkness. Only the long hallway stretching into the shadows of the abandoned farmhouse. He laughed nervously at himself, though his chest felt tight. "This is why horror channels get millions of views," he muttered, trying to sound brave for his camera. "People love creepy old houses." The red recording light on his camera blinked steadily. Daniel Brooks, 28 years old, amateur urban explorer, 20,000 subscribers on YouTube, and currently trapped in the middle of nowhere during the worst storm of the year. Perfect. He adjusted the backpack on his shoulders and kept walking. The farmhouse smelled wrong. Not dusty. Not moldy. Wet. Like something had been rotting underneath the floorboards for years. Every step made the wood creak beneath his boots. The beam of his flashlight moved across faded family portraits hanging crookedly on the walls. Most of the faces were scratched out. Except one. A little girl. Her eyes remained untouched. Daniel stopped. The girl in the photo couldn't have been older than 8. Blonde hair. White dress. Tiny smile. Someone had written a sentence beneath the frame using black paint. "She never left." Thunder exploded outside. Daniel jumped slightly and cursed under his breath. "This place is insane," he whispered. He pulled out his phone. No signal. Of course. He should never have come here alone. Earlier that day, an old man at the gas station had warned him. "You stay away from the Hollow Farm." Daniel had laughed. "Why?" The old man stared at him for several seconds before answering. "Because people who enter after dark hear the crying. And eventually they answer it." At the time, Daniel thought it was just small-town superstition. Every abandoned place had ghost stories attached to it. That was before he heard the voice inside the walls. A loud bang echoed upstairs. Daniel flinched hard enough to nearly drop the flashlight. His breathing quickened. "Probably the storm," he whispered. Another bang. This time followed by footsteps. Slow footsteps. Above him. Daniel looked toward the staircase. The beam of his flashlight landed on muddy footprints covering the wooden steps. Fresh footprints. Leading upward. His stomach tightened. Someone else was inside the house. "Hello?" he called. No response. Only thunder. Then, a child laughed upstairs. Daniel felt the blood drain from his face. Not because the laugh sounded creepy. Because it sounded real. Completely real. He backed away from the staircase slowly. The smart decision would have been leaving immediately. But outside, the storm had become violent. Rain crashed sideways against the windows. Trees bent in the wind. His car sat nearly half a mile away down a dirt road that was probably flooded by now. He was stuck. Another laugh drifted from upstairs. Closer. Daniel lifted the camera toward the staircase. "If someone's up there," he said loudly, forcing confidence into his voice, "this isn't funny." Silence. Then a door creaked open above him. Daniel stared upward. A figure stood at the end of the upstairs hallway. Small, thin, a child. The lightning flashed through a nearby window for half a second, illuminating her white dress, the little girl from the photograph. Then darkness swallowed her again. Daniel couldn't move. His body locked in place as cold fear spread through every nerve. The girl slowly tilted her head. Not naturally. Too far. Bones cracked softly inside her neck. Then she whispered, "You shouldn't have come here." The hallway lights exploded. Glass rained down from the ceiling. Daniel screamed and stumbled backward as the house shook violently around him. The child vanished. Gone, completely gone. Daniel ran. He didn't care about the camera anymore. He sprinted toward the front door, nearly slipping on the wet wooden floor. He grabbed the handle and pulled. The door wouldn't open. "Come on!" He yanked harder. Nothing. The old wood felt swollen shut. Or locked from outside. Another sound came from upstairs. Dragging. Something heavy being pulled slowly across the floor. Daniel pressed his back against the door, breathing hard. Then he heard it clearly. A man's voice. Deep, calm, angry. "You let her out." The voice came from directly behind him. Daniel spun around. No one there. But the temperature dropped instantly. His breath fogged in front of his face. The flashlight flickered violently. "You let her out," the voice repeated. "Closer now." Daniel backed away slowly. "Who's there?" A loud crack echoed through the house. Then every door upstairs slammed shut at once. Bang, 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 bang. The farmhouse trembled. Daniel ran toward the kitchen. Maybe another exit existed somewhere in the back. The kitchen looked untouched compared to the rest of the house. Plates still sat on the table. Rusted pans hung above the stove. And in the center of the room, dinner. Fresh dinner. Steam rose from a bowl of soup. Daniel stopped breathing. Someone was living here. Very slowly he turned his flashlight toward the far corner of the kitchen. A rocking chair moved gently back and forth. Creak, creak, creak. Facing away from him. Someone sat in it. Daniel couldn't see the person's face. Only gray hair hanging over the backrest. The chair stopped moving. Silence filled the room. Then the old woman spoke. "You woke her up." Daniel's throat tightened. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. She hates strangers." The chair began rocking again. Slowly. Creak. Creak. She was sleeping for years. Daniel stepped backward carefully. "I'm leaving." "No," the old woman whispered. "You can't leave after she sees your face." Lightning flashed outside again. For one horrifying second, Daniel saw the kitchen clearly. The walls were covered in writing. Hundreds of sentences scratched into the wood. "She is hungry. Don't listen to her. Keep her locked below." Daniel stared at the final sentence carved deeply into the table beside him. "She wears my daughter's face." The room went dark again. Then the rocking chair stopped completely. Daniel looked toward it. Empty. The woman was gone. A wet breath touched the back of his neck. "You shouldn't trust her." Daniel turned slowly. The old woman stood inches away from him. Except her jaw hung unnaturally low. Far too low. Skin stretched and cracked around her mouth as she smiled. And inside her throat, another face stared back at him. The little girl. Daniel screamed and shoved the woman backward before running from the kitchen. The house suddenly felt alive. Floorboards groaned beneath him. Walls knocked from the inside. Something crawled rapidly above the ceiling. He sprinted toward the staircase despite every instinct telling him not to. Behind him, the old woman laughed. Not normal laughter. Wet laughter. Like drowning. Daniel reached the second floor and nearly slipped on the muddy footprints. They were everywhere now. Small footprints. Children's footprints. Covering the hallway. A door at the far end creaked open slowly. Inside the room, A dim yellow light glowed. Daniel approached carefully. Every step felt heavier. The air smelled sweet now, like flowers left too long beside a grave. The bedroom door opened wider by itself. Inside sat the little girl. On the bed, swinging her legs gently. She looked completely normal now. Almost human. You saw him, she said softly. Daniel couldn't speak. He gets angry when people come here. Who? Daniel whispered. My father. Thunder shook the house. The girl looked toward the ceiling fearfully. He keeps me downstairs. Daniel stared at her. You're dead. The girl's expression changed. Sadness spread across her face. He killed me. Daniel's heartbeat pounded violently. What? He locked me in the cellar because I wouldn't stop crying after Mommy disappeared. Tears rolled down her pale cheeks. He forgot I was down there. His camera lay beside him. Still recording. Hands shaking, he played the footage back. At first, everything looked normal. The hallway, the photographs, the staircase. Then the video glitched violently. Static filled the screen. And through the static, a face appeared. The little girl, standing directly behind Daniel, smiling. The footage continued. Daniel watched himself speaking into the camera alone. Completely alone. No child. No old woman. Nothing. But suddenly, on the audio, a deep male voice whispered clearly, She belongs to the house now. Daniel froze. The video ended. Then he heard footsteps upstairs again. Slow, heavy, real. Daniel stood carefully. The farmhouse was silent except for those footsteps. 1, 2, 3, crossing the ceiling above him. He grabbed his backpack and moved toward the front door. This time it opened easily. Bright morning sunlight covered the fields outside. Daniel practically ran toward his car. But halfway down the dirt road, he stopped. Someone stood near the trees. The little girl, watching him. Her white dress moved gently in the wind. Daniel backed away slowly. Then she waved. Not threateningly. Almost sadly. A truck engine roared behind him suddenly. Daniel turned as an old pickup stopped beside the road. The driver rolled down the window. It was the old man from the gas station. You went inside, he said quietly. Daniel nodded shakily. The old man looked toward the farmhouse. His expression darkened. She followed you out, didn't she? Daniel slowly turned back toward the trees. The girl was gone. His blood turned cold. The old man whispered, Don't let her inside your home. That night, Daniel drove 3 hours back to his apartment in the city. He locked every door, closed every window, turned on every light. By midnight, he finally convinced himself the nightmare was over, until he heard scratching inside the walls. Slowly, moving upward. And then a little girl's voice whispered softly beside his bed, Please, I'm still hungry.